is true or false, but not both. Okay, so a statement would be like, I like pizza. It's true. Oh, yes. Or, you know, I think the sky is, no, wait, I can't say I think, that's an opinion. Okay, the sky is fuchsia. That is a statement. It is a false statement, right? The sky is not fuchsia, it's blue or gray or something. Okay, so an example of statements, I like pizza. The sky is violet. Okay, not right now, it's not, so that is a false statement, but it's still a statement. Okay, things that are not statements. Okay, read pages 23 through 37. This is not a statement, it's a command. Okay, because it's not true or false, it's telling you to do something. How will I know? Not a statement, that's a question. So questions are also not statements. Twilight is the best movie ever. That is an opinion, right? Because it's not a true or false statement, because for some people that is true, for others of us that is completely false. Okay, so it's not an opinion, can't be a statement because it has no truth value. These things don't have any truth value. A statement has to be true or false. It can't be ambiguous. Now you can negate statements. Okay, a negation of a true statement is false. And a negation of a false statement is true. Okay, so negating statements is to create the opposite. Okay. The symbol for negation, when we start talking about symbolic, that's when we're going to abbreviate things. The symbol is what's called a tilde. Okay, examples of, if I have the statement, London is the capital of England. Okay, that's a statement. To negate it, I can just add the word not. Negation of each statement, the easiest way is to add the word not, okay, or to take away the word not. So Shakespeare wrote the last episode of The Sopranos. Yeah, Shakespeare did not write. And then you can just ... because you don't need to finish writing the last episode of The Sopranos. I think you'll understand it from there. So Shakespeare did not write the last episode of The Sopranos. Okay, our original statement was false. Our negation is true. Okay, today is not Monday. That is true, but we want to negate it. And see, it already has a not in there. So we can take the not away. Today is Monday, which will be false. Or if you want to be particularly wordy, we can add the word not and say it is not true that today is not Monday. This is obviously not the easiest way to do this. The easiest way to do it is just to take the not away. Paris is the capital of Spain. That is false. So to negate that, Paris is not the capital. And now we have a true statement. So anytime you negate a statement, you change its truth value. And truth value just means whether or not it's true or false. All right, so to express negation symbolically, okay? So first of all, we take the statement and we call it P. Okay? When we're talking about symbolic statements, we use P, Q, and R. So our first statement, we'll call it P. So the negation of P and you put that little tilde in front of it and you say this is not P. That's how you would read that, not P. So we have P and we have not P. Yeah. Why do we do that? Because it makes things much easier. If I want to negate the statement P that Shakespeare wrote the last episode of The Sopranos, I'm going to negate it by saying not P. If I want to negate today is Monday, I say not Q. Same thing with Paris is the capital of Spain, not P. July is not a month, not Q. Everything there, yeah. If P is the statement the United States has the world's highest divorce rate, and we want to take not P and we want to write that in words, we would say the United States does not have. Okay, now this statement here, it might be true or false. I honestly don't know if this is true or not. But if this was true, this is now false, and vice versa. If Q says Chicago O'Hare, that's supposed to be is. The world's busiest airport, not Q would be is not. Okay, so with this tiny little symbol, we can express this whole long sentence. We can also have quantified statements. Quantifiers are words that express amounts. Okay, now they're not quantities as in specific numbers. Like they don't say, 2 or 3, but they are all, some, no, and none. Quantified statement is just a statement that contains a quantifier. Okay, so examples maybe all poets are writers. Some students like math. See, I couldn't say all students like math because that would not be true. No common colds are fatal. Okay, this is true. Common cold's not fatal. The flu can be.
So all quantified statements have to be true.
This is all A, R, B. Okay. So basically it's saying there are no A's that are not B. Okay, so all poets are writers. You could also say that as there are no poets that are not writers. Okay. This one is some A are B. So another way to write that is there exists at least one A that is not B. And that's all it takes. If you're talking about a group and you want to say something about the group as a whole, if just one person or one object or whatever in that group isn't true, you can't use the word all. Even if you were talking about every single person on the whole planet, however many billion of people that is, if there's only one person on the planet that doesn't fit that category, you cannot use the word all. Okay, so some students like math. There is at least one student that does not like math, which of course I find incredibly shocking. Okay. Here I have no A, R, B. So if I say no A or B, like, so again, if I'm talking about, like, say, example, the entire population on the planet, there cannot be one single person that doesn't fit this. Okay. Okay. Oh, and see there, it's a good thing we're rewriting this because I wrote that wrong. This is supposed to be some A, R, not B. And that's the same thing as saying not all A are B. So if I said some students don't work hard. Okay, that's the same thing as saying not all students work hard. Okay, all A are B. To negate that in general, the negation of that is some A are not B. Okay, so if you have a statement that says all students like math, the negation of that is some students do not like math.
What? Crazy talk.
I know, right?
Good point.
Okay, the negation of some A are not B is
All A's are good.
all A, which should be capital A.
So sweet.
Okay, the negation of some A are B is that no A are B. And the negation of no A are B is some A are B. So they kind of, these two go in pairs and these two go in pairs. They negate each other. All right, examples. If my statement is all A are B. Actually, you know what? We're not going to do that because you guys just wrote that on the other page. Don't write that. Okay, we're going to skip just to this example. So like if I say all people take exams honestly. Now, of course, we'd like this to be true. The negation is some people do not. Okay, and the reason it has to be some people, because if we said all people do not take exams, honestly, we'd be saying that everyone cheats, which is not true. So the negation of all people doing something is that some people don't do it. If I say some roads are not paved, or no, sorry, are paved, the negation of some is that no roads are paved. Okay, so here's kind of like a little visual aid for that. These negate each other, and these negate each other. Make a different color. Section. We have compound statements and connectives. Okay, simple statements only convey one idea. And there are no connecting words. Dogs bark. One idea, no connecting words. Simple statement, right? Compound statements are statements formed by combining two or more simple statements. Okay. Dogs bark and cats meow. Right? Dogs bark is one simple statement. Cats meow is another simple statement, and I have combined them. Okay, connectives are words that are used to join simple statements. Also, in English, you've called them conjunctions. Everybody remember Schoolhouse Rock? Singing conjunction, junction. Okay. So, examples of the ones we use in math, we use and, we use or, we use if, then. So, It'll be if you study, then you'll do better on the test. Like, there's words in between the if and the then. There's also if and only if. Okay. Yet, but, nevertheless. Words that are synonymous with and. Okay. The symbols for that. Okay, this is and. It's called a caret. This is a right side up caret. They are called conjunctions. Okay. My typing. Okay, so if the statement P is it is after 5 p.m. and the statement Q is they are working, I can write the statements in symbolic form. It is after 5 p.m. is the P part. I have the word and then I have they are working. That's Q. I have it is after 5 p.m. That's P. And they are not working. So that is the negation. So not Q. Okay, they are working. That's Q. And it's after 5 p.m. That's P. Or it is not after 5 p.m. That's not P. And they are working. That's Q. So anytime you have a not, you just put the tilde in front of it. Like these two. And here we switched orders, so then Q came first. But it can also symbolize but, yet, and nevertheless. These are all conjunctions. Okay, so if I say P and Q, I would read this P and Q, but if I was translating it to English, I could make it is 5 p.m., but they are working. I could also say it is 5 p.m., yet they are working. Okay, so this and symbol also stands for but, yet, or nevertheless. So when you're translating, you could translate it as it is 5 p.m. and they are working, or you can translate it as any one of these three. Or statements. All right, so you have and you also have or. Okay, there's the exclusive or. An exclusive or means one or the other, but not both. Like, we can go to the beach or we can go to Disney World. Like, on the same day. You can't obviously go to the beach and Disney World. You can't do both at the same time, right? So you can do one or the other. The inclusive or means either or both. So it's like one or the other or both. Like, we could have pizza or chicken nuggets. Well, maybe you decide to have both pizza and chicken nuggets at the same time. You can do that, right? That's physically possible. So this would be inclusive. Like, we can go camping or we could go to the beach. Well, you could go camping at the beach. So you could have both. Okay. In math, we generally use the inclusive. Wow, I just spelled generally really, really wrong. And you'll remember that from, like, in algebra, when you'd solve a quadratic and you'd get x equals, 2 or negative 2 or something like that. It could be one or the other, or both. Okay. Okay, the symbol for or is basically a V or an upside down caret. So to say P or Q or both, P or Q. We usually just say P or Q, but when you see this, it means P or Q or both, P and Q. It can be either or both. All right. If P is the bill receives majority approval and Q is the bill becomes law, and I have the statement the bill receives majority approval or the bill becomes law, that's P or Q. Here I have the bill receives majority approval or the bill does not become law. So that's P or not Q. Okay, if-then statements come up a lot in math, okay? And so if you're saying if P then Q, it's symbolized by a single arrow. And you'll see that when I've been writing any arrows in class before, I do this, like a double arrow, so as not to be confused with this. This means if P, then Q. Okay. A conditional statement is a statement joined by if-then. And the reason it's conditional is because there is a condition on it. If you go to work, then you receive a paycheck. Right? Getting the paycheck depends on the fact that you went to work. If you don't go to work, they're not going to give you the paycheck. So there's a condition to getting that paycheck. The if part, that's the statement so the statement that comes before the arrow, it's called the antecedent, and it's the if part. So if you go to work. You go to work is the antecedent. The consequence is the then part. So that's the statement that comes after. So the consequent would be you get a paycheck. So if you go to work, then you get a paycheck. So the antecedent is you go to work, the consequence or consequent, you get a paycheck. All right, so we're going to translating. Wow. I think this is my most typos so far. Okay, from English to symbolic form. So if P is a person is a father, Q is a person is male. We're going to write them in symbolic form. So P is a person is a father. So P, so if P, then Q. Okay, if a person is male, that's Q. Then a person is a father, P. If a person is not male, so not Q, then not P. Okay. Interesting, A is true, right? If a person is a father, then that person is male. This is true. C is true. If you're not male, then you're not a father. But females aren't fathers, right? So that's true. If you're not male, then you're not a father. You can't be a father if you're not a male. B is not necessarily true. If you're male, then you're a father. No, maybe you're male and you're a father, but just because you're male doesn't mean you're a father, right? If you have if P then Q, right? So this is if P, then Q. You could also say Q if P. P is sufficient for Q. Q is necessary for P. P only if Q, and then only if Q, P. Now I'm going to take that father male statement and I'm going to say how you would say these, but you don't have to write them all down. Okay, if P then Q, if a person is a father, then the person is male. Q if P, that would be a person is male if that person is a father. P is sufficient for Q. Being a father is sufficient for being a male. Q is necessary for P. Being a male is necessary for being a father. P only if Q. A person is a father only if that person is male. And then only if Q, P. Says only if a person is male is that person a father. So those are just different ways to say the same thing. Again, though, unnecessary just then, okay? We have the if part and we have the then part, okay? The if part, if is sufficient. Okay? Not necessarily necessary, though. Sufficient just means, it's good enough for this to happen. Okay? Then is necessary. Okay, this is the necessary part of the statement. Like when we talked about being a male is necessary for being a father. Being a father is sufficient to say you're a male, right? Like if you're a father, you can say, oh, you're a male. It's sufficient. But you have to be a male in order to be a father. So the then part is necessary. This part is not necessary, it's just sufficient. Does that make sense? Okay. All right. We're going to translate. We suffer huge budget deficits. We control military spending. Okay? Controlling military spending is necessary for not suffering huge budget deficits. Necessary. That part right there. So not suffering huge budget deficit, so not P, then Q. Q is necessary, so necessary has to come after the arrow. Okay. Suffering huge budget deficits is necessary, so this part is necessary. That's P. That comes after the arrow. For not controlling military spending, so Q, not Q. Okay, so when they have a part of the sentence followed by necessary, if something is necessary, it has to go at the end of the arrow. Okay. If and only if statements. Okay. A conditional statement, if you reverse the antecedent and the consequence, so you change the order, it might result in a false statement. So if I take, if a person is a father, then the person is male. This is true, right? If you're a dad you're male. We have a different word for if you're a female that has a kid, right? So if you're dad, you're male. If I reverse it though, if a person is male, then the person is a father. This is not true, right? Because just because somebody's male does not make them a father. They have to have fathered a child before they're a father. Being male does not make you a dad. Okay. Sometimes though, if you flip them, if a person is an unmarried male, then they are a bachelor. Okay, that's true, right? If you're not married, you're a bachelor. If a person is a bachelor, okay, if a person is a bachelor, they're an unmarried male. That's also true. So sometimes I flip them, switch the antecedent and the consequent, and it makes it false. Sometimes if I switch them, it's still true. And that's important. And I'll tell you in just a second. Okay. Questions about that? Does everybody have that? Common English translations. So you have the double arrow. That's P, if and only if Q. You can also flip it, right? Because it doesn't matter what order they go in, it's biconditional, so it's true no matter which way. This is saying the same thing as if P, then Q, and if Q, then P. P is necessary and sufficient for Q, and vice versa. Q is necessary and sufficient for P. Okay, so what we've done so far, we have negation. That's not P. Okay, we have a conjunction. So P and Q. We have a disjunction. P or Q. We have the conditional. That's if P, then Q. And then you have the biconditional. That's P if and only if Q.